What the business is. This how serial killers think according to FBI profilers. You wanna know why I'm watching this? Cause I wanna know if I think like one, according to FBI profilers. And I wanna know if there is folks around me that thinks like one. So I know to, keep my distance when they mad. Type shit. Real talk.
83, when he collapsed in his hotel room while investigating the Green River Killer, one of the most prolific serial murderers in American history, having taken the lives of 49 women with over 100 suspected. Douglas, at only 38 years old, had contracted life-threatening viral encephalitis from the brutal effects that job stress had taken on his immune system. When he collapsed, he had 150 open cases. It took a week for him to awake from his coma, during which time he nearly died several times before returning home. The incident still has lingering effects on his health to this day. That is to say nothing of the guilt that weighs on him for every victim of a killer he was unable to bag. You can't step into the warped minds of sadistic killers and expect to come out unscathed. In one of his books, Journey into Darkness, Douglas lays out 7 steps to his specific flavor of the criminal profiling process. First, he'll evaluate the criminal act itself. What kind of crime is being committed here? Kidnapping, assault, murder? Was the death quick or slow? What weapons were used? Even details as seemingly minor as the caliber of the firearm, if the killer used a gun, can make all the difference when understanding how the killer's mind works. Next, he'll look at the crime scene or scenes and analyze all the physical details. The location is also a factor, especially if it's the killer's first murder. Serial killers start their killing sprees where they're most comfortable, and that means the first murder usually happens close to home, a place the killer knows inside and out. After that, he'll carefully study the victim or victims. You can tell a lot about a killer from the kind of people they choose to kill and how they kill them. These details can be superficial, like the victim demographic. For example, serial killers often murder within their own race. So primarily white victims means the killer is likely to be white. Age is also a factor. Some opportunistic killers go for elderly victims, especially the angel of death killers and murderers in the medical field, whereas killers who go for younger victims might be particularly sadistic or have an underdeveloped mental state themselves. But Douglas says that the personality of a victim can be just as valuable as those broader details. For example, if the victim was a generally passive type, but the violence against them was excessive, it means that the violence was...
What the fuck am I supposed to say here? This is how serial killers think according to FBI profilers. He ain't really saying how they think. He just breaking down what they do. You feel me? Why they do their crimes down there. How they feel when they do it. Nigga ain't, well, I guess that is sly.
Wasn't just meant to make them comply. Instead, it came out of either a sense of sadism or a hatred of the victim, and if not the victim in particular, then for some demographic they belong to. You'll find out that a lot of killers have real problems with women in their lives. Who'd have thought it, right? Well, at this point, Douglas will study the initial police reports for any telling details. You'll never know when the locals will have noticed some key detail that could completely break open the case by total happenstance.
Man, this some bullshit, dog. I ain't come here to watch no real serial killer. Fuck that nigga, man. Fuck that nigga with a passion. Fuck him. I ain't studying them, dog. I want to know how they think. Bro, give me a chart on what they brain like. Tell me what they thinking about, dog. Don't tell me about no real serial killer, dog. I don't care about his story.
Who owned the store was having a conversation with his 20-year-old nephew, Albert Pearson. Suddenly, a man entered the store wielding a .38 caliber firearm. Willie was the first victim, killed by 2 bullets, and as Albert tried to back away from the killer, he shot 3 times, killing him. It had all the hallmarks of a robbery gone wrong, but strangely, nothing of value was taken. Still, that's not completely out of the ordinary. On its own, it still tells a complete story. A shifty would-be robber enters the store, either on drugs or out of his mind from nerves. The situation deteriorates rapidly, he shoots 2 people dead, and then he flees the store in a panic without stealing anything. A tragedy, of course, but nothing that out of the ordinary. Until the killer struck again the next morning. He entered a gas station and brutally murdered a white 18-year-old cashier named Kevin Kaiser. The killer shot him 4 times.
What are you doing? What is he on? Yeah, guy, you deserve the, you feel me? You just on that others.
In the chest before moving closer and shooting him again, this time in the face. 38 slugs again, but fired from a different weapon. And yet again, no valuables or cash actually taken from the store. A witness did report a black male with a short mustache in the area around the time of the crime. The next morning, there was another
That nigga ain't black.
no values. Shot him 4 times
That
and
nigga
brutally
ain't
murdered
black.
a white 18 until the
Look
killer
at this.
struck.
That nigga ain't black, dog. Look at his hair. Man, that shit is straight. Ain't no nigga hair growing. Well, it might, but nigga, his hair ain't growing like that, gang. That nigga ain't black. He Mexican, okay? Mexican with a shade. Don't put that nigga in this motherfucking category, dog. Wrong with you? Nigga ain't black. I hope that. Wait, was this his family? Hold on. Was that his family? Cause they got some nigga house. Yeah. Hold it. Wait a damn minute. Who your mama? Yeah, who is his mama? Who is he actually? I'll do some digging on you later, my guy. Right now ain't the time.
Again, this time in the face. 38 slugs again, but fired from a different weapon. And yet again, no valuables or cash actually taken from the store. A witness did report a black male with a short mustache in the area around the time of the crime. The next morning, there was another attack at a local gas station. A couple found a white clerk in his mid-30s, Kenny Faust, lying in a pool of his own blood after being shot in the head and neck. He sadly died by the time he was taken to the hospital. A paltry amount of money had been stolen this time around. Ballistic tests confirmed that the same gun used to kill Kenny also killed Willie and Albert earlier in the week. But the killer wasn't finished yet. Just days later, 2 more victims were found, this time inside a Radio Shack in Beloit, Wisconsin. The manager, 21-year-old Richard Boak, and a 60-something customer, Donald Rains, had both been executed at point-blank range with the same slugs as the other victims. But the killer had made a mistake this time by crossing state lines from Illinois to Wisconsin. His crime spree had become federal. The FBI was called.
It should have been federal. It should have been. What's up with him, dude? He just walking into stores, just casually ending people's lives that they worked their entire life to just grow up to be. Nigga, do you know how long it take for you to get grown, gang? Think about it. From age 0 to 18, and then a motherfucker just... Bro, you feel like you done wasted so much motherfucking time, gang. That shit take too long, bro. Hey, just stay out the way, stay out of sight, stay out of mind, and stay living, big brother. You gotta see your grandbabies. You got to, nigga.
Called in, and soon after, Special Agent Douglas joined the case. So looking at the evidence we've got here, how would you approach the case? We've got a methodical killer who commits murders that look like robberies, but never steals enough to make it seem like the robberies were ever really the point of the killings. All Douglas really had to work off, in terms of other details, was the sightings of the possible black male suspect.
He said, what would you do in that situation if you was the detective? What would you do? Me personally, what I do my job. Shit, what else can you do? I do my damn job that I'm being paid to do. I find his ass and put him in them chains. He ain't getting away from me. Especially if I'm getting a raise for catching his ass. Yeah, I'm gonna do my job. Trust me, I'm gonna do it.
Unless the killer slipped up again, this one might be unsolvable. Or so it would seem. Given that the victims had nothing in common, no money was taken, and the crimes didn't appear to have a sexual component, Douglas was able to rule out logical motives. But a lack of logical motives doesn't mean no motive at all. Just that the killer himself isn't thinking logically. That suggests that maybe the man they're dealing with is someone psychologically unstable. The killer's choice of weapons backed this up. He favored the .38 caliber. It was a type of round that he seemed to trust enough to not worry about the murders being connected by ballistic evidence, but the rounds were coming from a variety of weapons. After all, when you're a violent, paranoid person with a lot of anger issues, you are also likely to be the kind of person who stockpiles guns. And then there was the overkill. The victims had each been shot an excessive number of times, with the autopsies confirming that some of the shots had come after the victim was already dead. This suggested not only a sense of rage against the victims, but also that the killer was paranoid about his victims somehow surviving to identify him. However, while paranoia was a factor, Douglas still believed that they were dealing with someone functional here. Given that the killer was hitting up gas stations and committing murders over state lines, functional here.
I could just tell he ugly as shit. Like, just by looking at the stash and his hair, I could just tell he just a ugly, dingy looking ass nigga, man. Just a dingy ass nigga. He ain't even no damn nigga. I told he not black, dog. This hair is just a little too straight, bro. He ain't got no type of curl in it. That nigga ain't black, bro. He Mexican. Who is his mama? Shit.
Given that the killer was hitting up gas stations and committing murders over state lines, he likely owned a car and was thereby at least stable enough to have a driver's license. He also had enough money for gas, implying that he held down a job, though probably, based on Douglas's experience, a pretty menial one, given this killer probably wasn't a real people person. Douglas also believed that the suspect that some witnesses had reported at a few of the crime scenes was likely their man. While the grand majority of the victims had been white, the first two that were killed, Willie Fred and Albert Pearson, were both black. It was likely that these first murders were both metaphorically and literally close to home. Then there was the fact that the killer switched to exclusively murdering white people further and further afield from the original crime. This suggested a conscious effort to try to lead the investigators astray. From statistical research into the matter, severe paranoid personalities tended to manifest in a person's mid-20s. Douglas was now reasonably sure that they were looking for a black male in his mid-20s that lived in the Rockford area. They had a standoffish, paranoid personality, a low-level job, and an impressive gun collection. This was the kind of person who felt the need to overcompensate. He'd drive a large car, probably painted black for stealthier night driving, and would likely own at least one large dog, a power dog, to make him feel guarded and in control. And given a person with this kind of instability probably couldn't stay out of trouble, Douglas figured that he'd likely have priors for more minor violent crimes. And all of this turned out to be absolutely correct. Once the profile went public, the tips started pouring in. It didn't take long before Raymond Lee Stewart, the man who had been terrorizing Illinois and Wisconsin for a week, was identified. He was already in custody, sitting in a county jail on an unrelated charge under a $100,000 bond. He'd fit Douglas's profile almost exactly and would later confess to every murder, for which he would go on to receive the death penalty. That is FBI profiling in action.
Man, they should have showed me a picture of his ugly ass. I know this motherfucker ugly as shit, man. I'm just looking at this little... Dude, I just know he just ugly as a bitch, man. Ain't no... Man, what is his picture? What is his name, dog? I'm gonna do my research. I am. You motherfuckers really think I don't do my research? Yeah, I do my research, bro. When I say I'm investigating you, I mean it. I just don't do it on camera because it's pointless. Why would I give you my sauce into my investigation? No, never.
Every murder, for which he would go on to receive the death penalty. That is FBI profiling in action, a mix of statistical data and gut instinct, but most importantly, a palpable sense of empathy and imagination. Douglas got his callers by learning how to climb into their heads, just like he did with Stewart, but that is only half the battle. When you get a sense for who these guys are, it's time to turn that same creativity to actually putting them behind bars. And when done right, this can stop a killer in their tracks before they can even claim a second victim. Deliana Hang was an Indonesian student in Toronto who was horrifically assaulted and murdered in front of a mirror in her own bathroom. Her cross necklace, which she was never seen without, was missing, and there was no sign of forced entry into her apartment. From all of this, Douglas came to believe that her killer wasn't a stranger. It was someone that she knew and trusted, that she let into her home of her own free will.
Man, look here, dog. If it ain't Charmin, get it away from me. Stop with that thieving shit. Trying to steal Charmin techniques. Trying to spill something and then... Man, stop with that. Real, you niggas is thieving, dog. Hey, Charmin, I advise you to sue. They doing the same math that y'all doing.
He had viciously beaten Deliana before strangling her to death with the strap of a camera bag.
What?
It was a murder where you...
Wait, what he did? I'm overreacting. Yeah, I was for a second. I caught myself early on.
Beaten Deliana before strangling her to death with the strap of a camera bag. It was a murder where you would need total physical domination over your target to pull it off. The killer had made a mistake, though. He had been wounded during the altercation, as some of the blood found at the scene was not Deliana's. So whose blood was it? All signs pointed to Tien Po Su, a local bodybuilder who was believed to be a friend of Deliana. He was big, a strong guy with documented aggressive tendencies, but the evidence was all circumstantial. They needed a blood test to confirm whether Su was real.
Of course. A fucking meathead. Motherfucker ain't got enough room for his brain because them damn muscles is in the way. Just a meathead ass nigga. I should have suspected a meathead, but I didn't want to be prejudiced to meatheads. But I knew it. It was in the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah, it's a meathead ass nigga trying to choke somebody out. Gang, who are you? You trying to make it more personal on your end or her end, bro? Just make it quick, dude.
Immediately at the scene. However, the evidence wasn't strong enough to get a warrant compelling Sue to give them a sample. They also didn't want him to know that he was a suspect and risk him skipping town. So it was time to get creative. The Toronto police called in a favor from a retired cop who also happened to be an accomplished weightlifter and bodybuilder himself. He went undercover at the gym where Sue liked to work out, and that's when an undercover bromance started to form between the two, with Sue being pretty astonished by how the older gym bro had managed to stay in such great shape. The undercover ex-cop shared his secret. He had a nutritionist who was able to work out a perfect health supplement and workout plan that kept him in peak physical condition, and Sue immediately wanted in on that. The problem was this nutritionist was an under-the-table type of deal. He didn't take referrals. But if Sue was willing to give his new gym buddy a blood sample that he could forward to his nutritionist, he might be able to work out a plan for him. Sue let his undercover friend take forward to his
Boy, you is a damn snake! That's why I say, gang, you can't trust nobody after 9th grade. After 9th grade, you really can't trust too many more niggas, bro. Your circle is your circle. Your people is your people. Everybody else you meet after that is associate till they gain that level, you know? Because ain't no way, bro. Y'all grown to hell in the gym, bonding, and dude asks for a blood sample just so you can get some steroids. Nah, you can't have none of my blood. This golden blood right here. I don't even let the doctor. I don't even know what my blood type is. You can't have none of my blood. Motherfucking mama talking about we gonna have to draw your blood one day so we can figure out what your blood type is. Never. Damn that blood type. You can't have none of my blood. Wrong with you. Nah.
Nutritionist, he might be able to work out a plan for him. Sue let his undercover friend take a blood sample from him, and just like that, his fate was sealed. The blood sample matched the blood at the scene of Deliana's murder, and Sue was busted. And a frightening little
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Face it.
Twist in all this, the necklace that he had stolen from Deliana's body had been given as a gift to his wife. For Douglas, this was enough of a confirmation of the kind of obsessive mind that he'd seen in countless serial killers before. If Sue hadn't been caught this time, then Deliana almost definitely wouldn't have been his only victim. Being in the business of murder investigation for decades also gave Douglas some...
That's enough. Yeah, that's enough. This is how serial killers think according to FBI profiler. He really didn't tell us how they think. He just gave us cases of actual serial killers and told us and broke down their crimes. And then you kind of had to do the thinking for yourself to figure out how they think. Which was me, honestly. I had to do all the damn thinking while you just sat here and enjoyed yourself, you little bitch. Why did I call you out your name? Was that a bit of frustration coming out of my voice? Yeah, relax. My bad, gang. My bad. But man, y'all know how I get though, dick. Man, fuck with me. Don't fuck with I admit, bitch. I'm gone.